Holy crap. Welcome to Did She Just Really Say That? Heidi, I can't believe it. We made it to 100 episodes.
100 episodes. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Holy shit, bleep, whatever you guys want to do on this episode, right? Seriously, 100. Did you think we would ever get to 100 episodes? I did not expect it actually to hit it as soon as we did, to be honest.
Yeah, we hit it pretty fast, especially when we started ramping up all these interviews. And it's been a lot of fun. But it's like, it started out kind of slow. We were doing like one a week for a while. Then we kind of stopped, kind of
Yeah.
stalled a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it just like ramped up and it's just like, wow. And it's like when you put it out there and people want to be on your podcast, it gets really exciting.
Yeah, I didn't understand a lot of people. Like I'm in some podcast groups and I'm not bashing this at all, but people say I need to find guests. Holy crap, I will tell you there is no shortage. Seriously, there
Mhm.
is no shortage of people that want to be on a podcast.
I
It's just being your intention around it. So yeah, 100 episodes. Let's talk a little bit about like kind of what have we learned around podcasting. We're at 100 episodes and I think by now we've learned some pretty important crap about podcasting. What have we learned?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a journey for sure, and it's just like, and I think sometimes it's paying attention to how long our episodes get.
What? No. Okay,
Because
fine,
man,
whatever. Time is of the essence.
yeah, no, you can talk and you ask some fantastic questions that get people talking. And it's just yeah, when the podcast is that good, it's like how do you shorten it? How do you cut it off? But yet also keep it in mind the attention span of our culture. And it's
Yeah.
just I know even for myself, it's like I get if I see a podcast is like 2 hours, I'm like, oh, I don't have that kind of time like attention span. But also, I do like the feature where you can speed it up. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays with all podcast platforms, yeah, so I think one of the big takeaways we'll take from this one, right, is that there is a speed adjustment on all podcasts. So whether you're listening to ours or you're listening to somebody else, you can listen to us either as chipmunks, or you
It
can
can be
listen to
very
it,
entertaining. I
which
mean,
can be
we talk fast to begin with.
right.
You speed us up, and it'd be so you might not be able to speed us up too much because we do talk fast.
We do, but that's the New Jersey and you and the California and me. Like we're come from places where, if you don't talk fast enough, you're gonna lose somebody. So, there you go.
Yeah, I grew up in a family like that too, so it's
Well,
like
I grew up with six kids, so we always fought to talk over each other. So you just learn to get what you need in faster than anybody else. I gotta tell mom first before you do, because mine's the truth, yours is a lie. Like there was that
of
growing up too.
course, of course.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So how did you prepare for this 100th episode?
I put sparkles on.
Shit, I didn't do jack. I barely put I don't even have mascara. I realized as I was up there trying to put on some eyeshadow and stuff, I ran out of mascara, so I got no
Oh,
mascara.
I did forget the mascara. I thought
Yeah,
about it, but then I forgot about it.
yeah.
So that's how it goes today. But I got the sparkles.
You do have the sparkles. I have no foundation that matches my skin tone currently because apparently I got too much sun when we were down in Florida.
Mm,
So that
yeah,
became
that
the
does
other
happen.
problem.
That
Yeah.
does happen.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back to the podcast real quick. That was a short interlude. This is how we talk, women. Come on, get
'Cause,
real.
yeah, we do go on tangents. I will warn you, but sometimes the tangents are even better than what the original conversation was.
This is true.
So
So think,
don't discount our tangents because they're pretty entertaining.
yeah, they are. So back to the podcast. Some of the things I learned, especially from a production standpoint and a standpoint,
Hmm.
right? Podcasts are no joke, to be honest. The time and attention to put together a podcast is, yeah, like don't just whimsy ninsy throw up a podcast. Say there has to be an intention and a purpose. Uh,
Yeah,
it used to take a shit ton longer to produce an episode than it does today.
that's
I,
for
I
sure.
I will say in the 3 years that we've been doing this and now that we're officially at 100 episodes, I will say the ease of putting together an episode and at least putting together seasons for
Yeah.
Did She Really Say That has been easier now than it ever has been in the past. So I think one of the things, not only the ease of doing this, but I would say there is the intention of putting out the offer to be on a podcast, like have guests on your podcast. Join podcast groups. That was one big thing for me. I learned a lot of little nuances, different technology that's being used, a lot around AI technology, which is I'm so grateful for because we've been using that like nobody's business. It has made producing and getting up those episodes so much easier. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
definitely.
Yeah, what's been your experience with the AI as we've been incorporating that into our processes and procedures around this podcast?
The AI has been fantastic.
Mm,
But it's also like anytime you use AI, you have to at least breeze through it, see what it's saying, see what it's doing, because let me tell you, the links it pulls are not right. Some
yeah.
some of the verbiage it pulls are is awkward. And so it's just making sure, I mean, it's just like, because Katrina has a wonderful last name, Van Oudheusden, right? That just flows off your tongue like super easy. And sometimes I noticed in AI, it wanted to like refer to the people using their last names. And I was just like, that's not happening. So it's like definitely going through and making sure that the AI is using the right kind of language that your Brandon is going to be using and not being like super robotic. Sometimes it came off robotic and not, and I'm sure I didn't catch all of it, but I would go through and just kind of just edit it so that it didn't sound awkward and weird and using people's last names when that's a lot more corporate,
Impersonal? Yeah.
impersonal, corporate, masculine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it was just, and so it's just like I wanted to make sure that like even though the use of AI is not very feminine, we had to, so going through and just kind of massaging it a little bit to make sure that it still represents your brand and it's not being super weird and awkward and cheesy. Cheesy is a good word for it. Some of the verbiage I found very cheesy.
Yeah.
It's
It,
like,
it, and I would agree because you know, AI is still over, I think it's something like 80, 85% male language. It
yeah.
still doesn't speak the female language. And we've bumped up against that a lot because we are a female-led entrepreneurial podcast. And we speak a lot into the feminine language, into the feminine essence. And AI literally has no idea what to do with us. Like it's we're setting the tonality, I guess,
Yeah.
for you know what we how we want to be heard, how we speak differently, how we use a little more emotion in our language, where
Yeah.
it's been stripped out of traditional language, we kind of like shove it back in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's
and
definitely
even
that.
and even the email sequences that we've been using, sometimes AI assists with that. But then oftentimes I just like completely erase what they say and just
Yeah.
enter in our own verbiage because it comes across weird and awkward and like so it's just I love AI. I love its assistance, but like we say this all over our trainings. It's like it's always treated as an assistant, not taking over your marketing and whatever you're using it for.
Well, and to be totally honest, right, I was so funny because I was talking with a friend of mine and we were talking about, how to set up a podcast, how to live stream, because that's a big thing. How do you multi live stream, right? And so
Mm,
we were asking AI questions around like how do you integrate with these different channels, and it was actually giving us information that was over 2 years old.
wow.
It was telling us that these things weren't possible, yet the update to these platforms
Mm,
had evolved so much. So what's interesting is like even when asking AI information, it's giving us old, outdated information, not the most recent up-to-date changes, because it doesn't respond at that quick of pace. So I thought that was really interesting as we've been building this,
yeah.
just how it like I said, it's a tool. You still have to fact check, you still have to, check things on there. But I definitely would say in terms of editing and getting just a foundation around episodes and just helping to create headlines from the content, I think AI is doing a great job on just giving you kind of like a framework in which to play with.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
would say that's a big shift in the last 3 years because we were doing, especially when Karen was with us, we were doing a lot of hardcore video editing, which was, at that time was taking up a lot of her time because
Yeah.
she loved to video edit.
She loved it and she's very fast at it, but
Yeah,
it's still time consuming.
it is.
Even when it's something that you're very good at, and believe me, she's very good at it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, but it's still it's time consuming. It's so AI definitely helps with a lot of that. Um yeah, it's been a great assistant for sure.
Yeah. And I think the journey of a podcast has been fun. So it started off as the three of us because we all started, did she really say that, as three business partners coming together. Um, and through just natural evolution and growth, which is what we all want here in this company. And we know that each of us is on a different path, especially as women entrepreneurs. And through mutual agreement, and you can, go talk to Karen and everything else, is like this was a separation. And then so it just became two. So then Heidi and I ran it for a while. But as you guys may or may not have noticed, Heidi's not a big fan of being in front of the camera or speaking publicly in any shape or form. So she kind of just dropped off and said, "Hey, by the way, we're going to do this email cold reach out campaign to find podcast guests, and you get to interview them." Or at least it sounded that way to me.
I love how she throws me under the bus. First of all, she was the one who was introduced to this email
Oh,
marketing
shit.
campaign.
Okay, this is the
Yeah,
truth. Yeah,
yeah, this
truth
is
bomb.
true. Truth bomb. Katrina was the steamroller behind all of that, and it became something, and it's just like, yeah, right. I mean, to be honest, it's like I don't mind being on video, but it is not my forte. It is not my favorite thing, and I will say, after 80% of the episodes are recorded, one of the things that comes out of almost of the guests' word mouth, I can talk. See, this is why but they all say it's like you are like the best interviewer. Like
Mm.
Katrina knows what question, like intuitively, she brings up the questions that get them really diving into what their topic is, what they're all about, what their journey is. She's really good at interviewing, and I'm just like, you know what? When that's your genius, when you are that good at it, it's like, please have at it. It's just like do your thing because you do it so well. It's just like
And I will take that compliment. And I think, no, I think it points to the fact too that it's okay to evolve, especially when we're, in a partnership, when you're looking at a business, right? There is, I think, naturally over the last, this year specifically, and correct me if I'm wrong, Heidi, which I know you will do, so I have no problem with this,
oh,
but
I love correcting you. It's
yeah,
fantastic. It's usually when you're throwing me under the bus.
yes, yes. But I think this year for both of us, we've really kind of found our lanes in terms of our partnership, where our strengths are in leading this company together. I think that's something that's been really interesting to kind of like really hone in, that we did really well, I think, for 2025.
hmm Yeah, it's really evolved into the what each person is part of. And we do have a third person who works with us, and she's fantastic, and she likes video even probably less than I do, apparently, which is hard to beat. But it's like, but she also helps us with a lot of things, and that's Hillary. You probably, if you see her name somewhere around there, so
Shh,
give her a
shh.
big.
We don't talk about Hillary. We she's asked specifically not to bring her up in any social
Oh, don't bring
conversations.
up. Okay, there's no
We don't
Hillary.
talk about Hillary. No, no, no,
No,
no,
no, no,
no.
no,
Like
no,
no
no, no,
Bruno
no.
kind
Talk
of
about
moment. We're
Hillary.
just
But
gonna
you can
but
give
she's
her
there.
you can give her a silent high five because she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's amazing, and she's done a lot for us, and especially with this podcast. And I think that's, one of the things is that as you, I think what's been interesting, so many women are afraid to get into partnerships, because we're afraid like a woman's going to stab us in the back or anything else. But I think what's been really interesting as we've developed, did she really say that? In our process, we've learned a lot about each other, what our strengths are, what we like to talk about, and definitely got really clear in 2025 with how this company moves forward. I think we definitely found our niche in the podcast. I would say this has been a big
hmm
big fun piece of our puzzle in terms of just getting out our message and having some fun with this, right?
And especially, I think it has been fun. And that's the thing, I think that we look at what we're doing in our business and how it aligns with our personalities, with what we're doing, and are we enjoying the process?
Mm.
And I think that's where a lot of our messaging has come into place because, it's like what we've learned or what we learned about ourselves and how frustrated we were with how business was being built, brought in this whole message in. And it's like, and as we've learned about this process of syncing our business with our cycles, it has not only really that's our messaging, but it's also helped us to enjoy our business that much more.
So, okay, so this leads to the one question that's been pertaining to me. So I just talked with Coach Mickey, who, for those that haven't listened, she's actually, I was interviewed not once, but twice on her podcast. She's going to be joining us over here, but I actually had her on a summit, right? So, was it the beginning of this year, 2025, that we did this whole crazy summit? Like, was it only this year?
Yes, we've done two summits this year. And
So I'm not making this up, that I literally have met everybody in 2025 that has had the biggest influence on us.
literally, yes, because the summits have been kind of the catalyst that has really pushed a lot of things forward. And it's just like we went into the summit with the intention of growing our email list. That's really the purpose of summits. I mean, they increase your email list. They also, I mean, they do bring in some money, and on the and your and the idea is to monetize them on the back end. What happened for us with this summit was really the people that we've been able to meet. The people that we have been able to meet, and especially with Katrina, because she's doing all the interviews, hence. And it's like, so she gets to engage with them on a deeper level. And it's just like, and those relationships have really guided kind of how the business has grown. They've
Mm.
really, it's like you hear us talk about the planner that we will expand on a little bit more. She's got the new one. I've
It's
got,
in my hot little hands. I've already
I
written in
know.
it. I've
Uh,
already started
so
planning in
jealous.
it.
So this is the evolution of our planners. This is last year's, this is 2025, and this is this year's 2026, because this is the year of the fire. The
Yes.
year of the
The
dragon.
element is fire. So we've embedded a lot of
Yeah.
earthly elements into this planner design and intention. Yes.
But even it's like all these people that we meet and the women who have gone through last year's planner and the previous planners that we've used have all helped us to design and tweak and improve and expand upon the new planner.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but really it's like these summits. Yeah, it's only been 2025. That's crazy.
That
Because
is crazy.
one
So
in the
our,
spring and one in the fall. And it
yeah.
was like,
Because you gave us 6 weeks. I think in January is when the whole thing started. And I think by March, our first summit was
yeah, when I
launched,
was
like end
flat
of,
on the couch in pain.
yeah. So you were end of January. We had all of September to interview, plan, record, launched in
Oh,
March from,
February. You said September.
I'm sorry, February. We launched, I think we aired in March. Like we had or something. It's like either end of Jan. Anyways, I
Yeah.
just know
But the
that
thing is like, it's like as we have worked together and we've gotten to know each other, when I get a bug in my bonnet or whatever they want to say about that, it's like I don't st
she doesn't sit on it.
I don't sit on it. I'm like, we're doing this. This is happening. We're doing this and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, Katrina would be like, oh, let me noodle over that for a little bit. I'd be like, no,
Yeah, yeah.
no. And
This
it's
is
like,
why we have the best partnership.
you have to give Katrina a deadline. And I felt if I put the deadline out too long, we would just hesitate, slowly get into this. And we did slowly get into it. But then when I put the deadline out there, it was just like, boom, we've got to get this. And it's literally, if anybody does summits, and it's like the one question you never, when you're meeting your guests, the one question you never want to forget, and believe me, we forgot it like 50% of the time, was who do you know who would recommend to be on this summit?
Yeah.
And when we actually started asking that question, it just snowballed from there. It was just like everybody was referring their every friend they could think of. We had more people than we knew what to do with, and it was just like, but it's just It really is. It's like it's like that saying about it's not what you know, it's who you know is really it's that statement gets reinforced all the time. And
Yeah, I will say even inside of this podcast, right? As I've interviewed and talked with women, I've either asked, who do you know? And or it's like, I think you need to talk to this person. I will tell you, I have a list that it continues to be followed up because every time I interview somebody, I get like two to three more names.
yes.
And so it is literally a ongoing, I never have the struggle of finding a guest for our podcast because if nothing else, since we've kind of went after this and we've done the summits, we did two. We did one around business growth strategies that are exclusive to women. We did another one around the money revolution. So, teaching women that are in business how to keep their money. One of the things we definitely recognize in all of us, I mean, every woman that was on the summit, every woman that attended the summit said, this is the financial information that is missing. And it's
Yeah.
not the surface level, it's not like a, um, Edward Jones or like a basic type. This is like the next level of a wealth building conversation that isn't being taught, but is actually the fabric of how wealth it gets managed and
Mhm.
how it is used to better and do good in the world. Like if you really want to do good in the world, you can't just follow what the mundane and everyone else is telling you. It is actually the next level behind that and the next level behind that. And we'll talk more about that maybe later, or we're just going to say follow us because we definitely have some really cool things that are going to be happening in 2026, specifically around creating more opportunities for women to generate and create wealth
Mhm.
with their business, access to more wealth building skill sets and knowledge. But I think it's really interesting that because of these summits, because of these podcasts, what and the thing is like we can always assume we know what people want, but the truth is, Heidi, I mean, after what I think there's 40 some odd guests, the speakers that have been on our summits, and these are high end quality individuals. We're talking people like Sherry Tree, who developed the bank method, right?
Mhm.
One of the top methods out there for increasing sales, increasing productivity, talking to your team. Like Sherry Bank is crushing it with the bank system, or Sherry Tree is crushing it with the bank system. We had Mercedes Eckert on with us. She
Oh, that
is
was
the
so fun.
Right. She's amazing. She built out a mystery shopping training platform to teach mystery
Mhm.
shopping. So for like those that want to earn a little extra money but don't necessarily want to do the traditional gig type jobs, right? This was a really interesting way in how she teaches it and cultivates the community for it. There's just been some extraordinary. Esther was amazing. We talked about female retreats. I learned a lot from her around what women actually desire in a retreat. And when I
Mhm.
started implementing or making those little tweaks, I recognized how much of a burnout we're even experiencing at retreats as women because it's all a series of productivity
Yeah.
instead of really incorporating the rest that we need. I loved having Erica Neal on talking about the infinite banking concept, which I think was fabulous that we've talked about in these summits. I mean, just some incredible people in the summits. And then we got into podcasting, right? So I think we
One of
went
my, all right,
summit,
wait,
summit,
I'm going to talk about
podcast.
my favorite guests on the summit.
Oh, okay.
It's like, I mean, some of my favorite guest is still Carlotta. I was
Okay,
just
I'm totally
blown.
leaving out Carlotta, but I mean, I'm missing so many women. Like, if I could
Oh, she
just
is. I mean,
spiel everybody.
we could talk for an hour just on our summit guests, but I will just spotlight Carlotta. She was out, but one of my favorites because she was an ex IRS agent. I mean, she was the one auditing all the tax returns and like, and regrettably having to give them tax bills because they didn't know about the tax laws that they were not taking advantage of. And so she turned what she was like, so she would give them a tax bill and then give them education on how to not have a tax bill next year. And it was like, so she turned, but she basically, so she left the IRS and turned that education into a business. She is fantastic. I loved talking with her because she is literally the real deal. She will not like it's all legal and it's all like stuff that we are not people aren't taking advantage of because not that we don't know about it, but we don't know how to document it correctly. And it's all about your documentation. But I just that's it. That's all I'll say. But if you really
No.
if you want to listen to her, you've got to get the Money Revolution. She's fantastic.
Yeah, the Create Her Money Revolution, I mean, for accessing that library of wealth from women teaching and desiring to improve the overall wealth education training for women, like that is what who they're committed to,
Yeah.
was just absolutely amazing. So let's dive into our podcast. So, we don't want to make this 100th episode like the longest out of all of them, but definitely highlighting this. So
Yeah.
I think, I loved Amy Pons when I first brought her on. That I think it was brilliant that she kind of kicked off our first season and she was the first guest to say yes.
Mm,
Um, and she talked about just her journey, and I love the fact that she opened up a school of magic. And the school of magic is about getting back into your feminine intuition. Like that was actually one of my favorites. I had a really good time going through that. Gosh, there were so many. Um, I think Beth talking about email marketing and the need
mm.
for just better conversations with email instead of all this cold marketing crap you guys are seeing. I'm sure you are if you're listening. Rose Chastain was another one of my favorites because it was the first female, I kid you not. It was the first female I've encountered that actually talked about the female rhythm and
Mm.
how she's tracking it for sales. So actually, and this is really interesting because she says that when women are in their follicular and ovulatory phase, or depending on where you're at, if you're tracking with your moon cycle, these are the
Right.
time periods where we can ask for more money and we'll receive that money into our world, right? It was super crazy because she says when we get into our luteal and menstrual phase, our ability to ask and receive gets kind of down.
Mm.
So it's not that we can't, but you really have to train and be aware of your body and know why you're asking or when you're asking and being open to receiving because your body's just going through different energies at that time. So that was a super eye-opening um, conversation. I was like, oh, yes, please. Uh,
Yeah.
Rollins Williams, powerhouse little firecracker. Her ability to say no to a non-disclosure, her ability to say, I'm
Mm.
not going to be silenced for an incident that happened to me because it'll keep me silenced moving forward for the rest of my life.
Right.
And I think that was a brilliant conversation with her because I really want women to understand that you have the ability to say no. You
Mm.
have the ability to keep your voice and not be silenced. But it's going to take you really looking at, what is the trade off for being silenced or being asked to stay quiet around something just to get a payoff? Or does it make sense to continue having your voice and know that there's other ways to make money? Like the money silencing you shouldn't be the only thing that drives you. That was honestly one of my favorite conversations for season three. And it goes on. There was the soul language by Jen. I mean, Christine Bright was so real around how closing businesses is an emotional experience for women.
Yeah,
Like,
that was one I was thinking of was just
yeah,
that evolution of it's like because I think it's like a lot of times women we build a business and it's kind of like our children. It's your baby, it's your creation,
yeah,
it's your heart and soul into something. And to be able to transition and close that part, it's like close one of those down, or even it's like really understanding what kind of exit plan you want to plan for. Is this like your child where you're sending them off to college or sending them off to be independent and with somebody else kind of guiding that? Or are you closing it down and doing something else with it? But it's just, but I loved that conversation with Christine.
yeah. I mean, there were so many aha moments as I continue to look back and just what we've created. And I think with these women, and as we continue to interview them, I mean, at the time, like episode 100, we're in the middle of season four.
Yep.
We're going to be launching season five here in
That's
2026.
crazy. That's crazy.
Right. And it's just nonstop. Like we've been invited to be on a charity podcast, palooza, I guess you could call it,
Yes,
right?
that is exciting.
So we've been asked, and I think this is the honor and privilege of when you're doing a podcast and you're playing with this. We've been asked to be part of a charitable like week of podcasts. So all these
Mhm.
podcasters are going to be out there promoting their favorite charity during this week. So really shifting the conversation. I mean, talk about a movement, right, of shifting the
Mm,
conversation for being a full week where every podcast that's out there is talking about giving back and generosity and raising funds for a good cause. Like, and then you get to know a little bit more about your host. You get to find out what they're interested in. And I
mhm.
just look forward to being part of that collaboration and
Yes,
using those hashtags and promotion for it. I think that is going to be really, really awesome to be a part of that. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's
excited for
exciting.
that.
Same.
All right. So what are we looking for? So what's going on? So let's talk quickly. So we're transitioning again, women, like you know us, at least me. We're going to transition. So one of the big things we've got going on in 2026 is the Create Her Planner, right? So we have evolved this little chickie, in so many ways. This little chickie is cheeky.
It's cheeky.
She's
Yeah.
cheeky, she's sassy, and it really is that we are creating, right? We are manifesting our every moment of our life. And I think what's so interesting as we dived into the evolution of the planner for 2026 is that there's more white space in here.
Mm,
I find with planners as they evolve, they get more task oriented, so they keep adding pages like checklists
yes.
and other things like that. And what's been interesting is that with this planner, we actually created like I find this was really a kind of our one of our brilliant children, right? So we actually come together and we plan your month with you if you're interested in doing that. We'll talk about that in a sec. But in the planning of the month, typically it dives right into the next week. We actually gave you a blank page to start.
And color.
And then we actually want you to do some coloring, and we have a very specific intention around this that you guys, ladies, will learn about because there is something that's often missing when it comes to planning. Not only that, but we then incorporated a chart right above this that talks about what phase or cycle you're in, the type of energy. So, is it low energy? Is it rising energy? Is it high energy, high magnetism? Is it, time for quiet and rest? Like we actually define these against the moon phases and your cycle phase, right? Then we said, what are your best business moves? So, when's the best time to be selling? When's the best time to be pitching? When's the best time to be writing content or doing video? When's the best time to um, be in collaboration with some, like, when's the best time to check on your money? So, we even
Mm.
create money actions through this. So, the financial planning of your business is woven through this planner. And I don't think I personally talk about it enough, but this planner has so many little nuances that aren't of a typical planner.
That's true. Because
What? Good.
I was going to say, because most planners are very 24-hour oriented. What tasks, what things do I have to do in the 24 hours? And this planner is really looking at what phase are you in and how are you looking at the month as a whole. And so you look at it's like, what projects am I doing? Do I have a launch this month? Or it's like even looking ahead when because obviously you're planning launches months ahead. You're not doing it that month, but it's like,
Hopefully not. Yes.
hopefully
Yeah.
not, but you can tell according with if you're starting to pay attention to your cycle, you can tell what week is going to be a good week for you to have a launch in 3 to 4 months versus it's like,
Yeah.
and so you're really looking ahead. And it's like, I know this is a podcast, but for those of you who are watching on video, let me share something real quick.
So for those of my Spotify listeners and my YouTube listeners, and for those ones out here, here's a quick image that's
Here's
something that's going to be like, oh,
So this is like, it's like when your menstrual phase and when you're having your menstruation, your estrogen, your progesterone, your and ladies, we do have testosterone in us, believe it or not. But it's like when your estrogen, which is the pink line, is rising, that's when that's when you should be launching. That's when you should be strategizing. This is where your critical thinking, create your content, this is when you should be on video. This is when you should be out in front of people. And the ovulation, and it's like this is a great time for you to be out in front of everybody. And then when after ovulation your estrogen starts going down and your progesterone starts coming up, this is when you get really emotional. Everybody talks about that luteal phase, oh, the PMS, the mood swings, the blah blah blah, but it's also your emotional phase when you should be looking back at your copy and seeing how emotionally charged, or where are my emotions, where is my feeling, how do I feel about this copy, and how is it emotionally connecting with my audience.
Mm.
It's a great time to look back at your copy and see where it's emotionally connecting, because this is when you're have most emotions going through you. And it's like that's when you can connect emotionally with your audience. And I'm talking about doing this in written form, looking at your writing, not necessarily going out there and being on video again, because that's during your follicular phase. But during your luteal phase is a great time to reflect and look at what's going on and see how you feel about it.
Yeah, and you'll definitely feel like I know for myself as I head into my menstrual phase, I can feel like the couple of days before I'm ready to kind of already start winding down. Like I can feel it body wise, which is why even within the planner, right, we have the whole celebrate your month phase. And we don't, I don't see it, but on each day, there's like a way to track your energy. And then
Mm-hmm.
we have you fill in your energy because one of the things that we're looking at too that we want you to start creating aware of is where are you throughout the year seasonally?
Mm,
Because even seasons, as for us women, shockingly enough, play into this. So during the winter, are you the definitely more energy? Like, are you finding your energy? Do you find your energy during the spring, during the summer? Because what's interesting is that each of us as women, we do kind of have like a quarter where we kind of like, boom, right?
mm,
Like we just get really, really into everything. I've always found that October, November, December, January seem to be like my oh my God, everything's got to get done kind of a moment thing, right? But then I have like kind of like a quiet start to the year and then it picks up again as I head into summertime. So I think fall and spring are my two places. I think summer and winter are kind of like my hibernation, but
mm.
fall and spring tend to be more when I'm active and things are getting more like things are getting done. There's more movement in my life. And
Yeah,
it's something I never would have noticed if I wasn't tracking.
I can see that, except for like in winter, I feel like December, I am all out there because I love the holidays. Holidays
See?
are my absolute favorite thing.
So she's a fall winter girl.
Yeah, well, yeah, but then I think spring is I'm not spring. Summer is definitely where I don't feel like doing anything because I don't like the heat. But when the beginning of spring comes, it's like, because it's like, this is what I would do every year. I would plant a gazillion flowers and I'd water them really good for like April, May, half of June. And
Hmm.
then I was done. And then I was done. And I was like, well, God, you take over or they're gonna die.
That's when you surrender. You just know whatever's going to happen
Like,
happens.
so literally, I was like, I was like, I think the change of seasons is kind of like where I have an uptick, and then as the season goes on, I'm ready for the change again.
Yeah.
It's like I get tired of that season, and so I'm ready for the new season. And then so it's like the beginning of each season is kind of like my ooh.
See, these are the things you get to learn about your business partner and even learn about yourself when you start using the creative planner because A, you start becoming more aware and more in sync. You
Hmm.
actually start listening to your body. So we're
Yep.
having conversations that are not traditional. So a couple of things with the planner. So first off, you can get the planner on your own. Head over to createherplanner.com. The link will be in the show notes wherever you're listening from. Then as part of that, we know that the Create Her Dream Journey is part of this. So this is your education and training. So this is a minimal like mini course adventure, right? So it's 6-part mini course. We do it live once a year And then we offer that as kind of like your training guide into how to actively use the planner. The other thing that we recognize this year is that because it's such a new conversation, it's such a new way of tracking and accountability around this planner, that we needed a team, a support group. So we did create the inner circle. So there's the Creator Inner Circle, which is just the $47 a month. And this is a community where you can ask questions. We meet for the planning. So we go over why this is an intentional planning session, why we color during our planning period of every month. We also go over your accountability. So about mid-month, we check in, answer any questions. What have you been learning? Share that wisdom with each other. And then at the end, we do a celebration. So we actually get together and we celebrate the heck out of each other. That's what part of the celebration is to look back on what you've accomplished. Let's talk about your next marketing move, what worked, what didn't work, so we can learn from each other, not in a business way, but in a collaboration type of phase. And then we track your money. Heidi and I have been big advocates of the profit first and the profit first system and their banking that's out there because
Mhm.
we've recognized just how transformative it's been in our business. So, Heidi, this is an area that you really excel in. This is when I say, where did our partnership kind of like fall into its brilliance? Is that Heidi is really good at financial shit. Um, I'm good, sort of. I'm getting better thanks to Heidi, but her ability to look at something and really set up with the intention, I think this has been a big shift even for us. And this is why it got incorporated into the planners because we didn't want you just tracking for day to day. We wanted you actually to feel and relate to money as a blessing, as something you're receiving. So that was something that we really put into play.
Yeah, and I love it's like because you can get business training everywhere. You can get marketing training, you can get business growth, you can get business strategies, you can get all kinds of this training, but it's like what we kind of want to incorporate it all. Now we are not going to be the end all to be all but we are that we want to be that catalyst that helps you to get to the next level because when you're tracking your hormonal cycle, you're tracking your energy, but we also want to talk about finances and how that affects your business because it's one thing to make the money. And far too often, we have seen women create those million-dollar businesses. And then whether it's finances or whether it's they're overwhelmed and burned out, they burn it all down. And it's
Yeah.
just like, so we're talking about highly successful women who don't who don't like
Who
we
haven't
always
had access. They really have never
have
had
access, but
access.
we talk about what like that the percentage of companies that make the $1 million mark or the $1 billion mark or whatever those that 1% club. And it's like, why is the men so much higher in that 1% club? Well, you look at it, it's like women can hit those numbers, but they don't stay at those numbers because
Yeah.
they either are like the financial foundation is not there, or they're overwhelmed and burned out, which is why we're bringing in the sync in with your cycle business model because it helps you to continue to enjoy your business, not let it overwhelm and take over your life.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the interesting things is that with the planner, we really integrated a lot of or infused a lot of business common sense.
Mm,
And when you match that with your sync of your cycle, where your energy flow is throughout the month, right? Because you're not a 24-hour clock, you're a monthly cycle. So when you start honoring that monthly flow, you're going to feel better about your business. You're actually going to get a lot more done. There is times when I feel like I wake up and I'm just like bang, 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 everything's done on my list. And then
mm,
there's other times that I'm just like, let me creatively think about this, or I need to ponder this kind of a thing, right? So I think what's interesting is when you blend this together for the first time, you get a real essence of who you are as a businesswoman.
mm.
You get a real sense of what is the business you want to be designing. And then you get the financial education to support this in the process. And I think what's really interesting is because we are huge advocates of rest.
Hmm.
You and I both know it's like when I have my period, I'm like, Heidi, I'm gonna go sleep, right? Like I just want to sit here and eat a chocolate bar or my peanuts, and I'm totally okay with that.
It's fantastic when you're sitting with because we've been we were sharing an apartment and I'd look and we'd both be busy there working quiet and all of a sudden I'd look up and Katrina's gone, like just gone, and I'm just like, where is she? The dog's gone too, and I'm just like, oh, Katrina's napping. I learned after a couple of months I was like, she's napping.
Yeah.
I was just like, I
And you know
just
what? I rubbed off on Heidi because now she
I did.
naps.
Occasionally, not nearly as often, because I still have a little bit of guilt around it. You know, it's like that. It was like growing of raising kids and stuff, and it was just like and there was always a guilt around. I had 500 gazillion things to do, so there's no time for napping. But when you actually look at this and you start tracking your cycle and you realize it's like no, rest is actually important. And I was like, and one thing I used to say to my kids when they were babies, I used to say, I'll be a much better mom if you sleep tonight. And I was just like, I wish I had realized how much better of a mom I could have been if I took a 30-minute nap in the afternoons.
Yeah. I mean, even as a businesswoman,
As
like I will be a much better businesswoman if you just let me not answer the phone, not be on the internet, I'm not doing anything, and just rest.
yeah, yeah. You'll be a much better human being. I mean,
Yes.
you won't be you if you find yourself snapping at people or just being like cranky, it's like literally go take a 30-minute nap. It's
Yeah.
you'll be amazed at what wonders
Or
it.
sit in quiet. Step away from money. Just have a quiet
Yeah.
space. Find something where you're putting earbuds
Go for a
in,
walk.
but go for a walk. And here's the thing, don't play any music.
Mm,
See, the thing is, we're trying to distract ourselves. Oh, if I go for a walk, I'm gonna put on my podcast. Something about being in your own silence
mm.
is super important for you too. Because if your brain is, I mean, trust me, Heidi, you and I both talk about the woman's brain is active enough.
All the time. All the
Silence
time.
truly is golden when we can sit here and just let our mind wander and then let it be and just be with whatever is in there. But we're always trying to avoid or try to find something else to distract us. But there is a sense of listening to yourself and then listening to your body's reaction to
You
it.
know, I'm going to tell everybody a secret about you.
Oh shit.
Okay, people. I don't know about y'all, but I have a really hard time being silent because the noise, the voices. All right, maybe I'm telling a secret about myself.
This is
There's
could go both ways. So
always a running dialogue in my head. And it's not that it always makes sense, but there's a running dialogue in my head. Katrina can just be silent and there's no running dialogue in her head. I don't, it's incomprehensible to me.
I
And
find it weird that your brain has that much information going on all the time. I'm just in here like,
I'm not saying it's intelligent information. It's, but it's just like so anyhow, there's those two different types of people. So you have to whatever kind of person you are, it's like sometimes I probably do need to be quiet, listen to those voices and learn how to quiet them.
mm.
Or and it's just like because sometimes it's like I think they keep talking because I don't listen to them.
Yeah, I think your inner person is trying to get out and you're ignoring. I think your inner goddess is sitting there going,
If
hey,
anybody has any clues on how to silence those inner dialogues,
don't silence it. You just got
not
to listen
silence
to it
them
and
or
acknowledge it.
listen to them and like I guess either acknowledge them or tell them they're being way too foolish because
Yeah.
that's a thing too.
So I know we're getting long on this episode. I think we're somewhere around
Like
like
I
the
said, tangent.
50-ish
Yeah.
minute mark right now. But no, I think this has been fun. Like for our 100th episode, we've kind of covered a little bit of everything, and it would be absurd to not at least have some time with this episode because there is so much that we're learning.
Mm,
I think between the planner and creating actual in-person events for women to literally reset. So you and I both have been looking at retreats, and it feels like every retreat or everything that's on there, it's like this series of like how much shit can I put into it?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're just as busy for being a retreat as they are for anything else. And I think this comes back to like the intention of what we're creating for women is that we want to bring an intimate 12 women, no more than 15 together and we want you to participate in activities that are sacred for women,
Mm-hmm.
but still give you plenty, and I do mean plenty, of rest and downtime to be on your own and really just be in the reset and rest.
Yeah.
Because we don't, as women, and you even said it, I'm so worried about everybody else. I'm the last person that gets paid. I'm the last person that I take into accountability. I'm the last. And so many times I challenge you as women, for those who listen, who is planning rest? And I'm not talking vacation where you're going somewhere with a whole list of crap to do. I'm talking downtime rest with other women
Mm.
to do nothing but to reconnect to who you are as a sacred woman and be in nature, right? Those are the two things that when we pick a location, it's got to be grounded, a place where we can ground energetically as women. Activities like a sacred ceremony that really speaks to being a female, a rebirth, a rejuvenation, some sort of sound therapy or something like that that just awakens the senses,
Mm.
right? And it's not about waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning to do weightlifting or yoga or thing like this is literally to stop and pause. And I think that's what I love about what we're creating with the Create Her Resets and those events where we're doing our next one's in El Salvador for those that are listening. If
Mm.
you want an invite, definitely head over to truthbombmarketing.com. Again, links are down in the show notes. But I think it's so interesting how, as a company, we've evolved from strategic business coaching for women really into saying, hey, as a collective, can we come together as women, use this planner, learn from each other, have that next level business conversation, be surrounded by only business women in this conversation at different seasons, different stages of their life, and then can we come together to rest and reset?
Yeah.
And I think that's been like the evolution of our business. Yes, I will still take one-on-one coaching. Yes, I will. It's very intentional now as opposed to wanting to do just to do and push out more product and crap like the bro marketing and business methodology is there.
Mm.
Just keep putting out more crap. We'll keep making more. That's not what the intention. I really want to make it more holistic. Would you say that's kind of anything to add to that?
No, you wrapped it up really good. Yeah, definitely. It's like it's all about the retreat, the planner. They're all about teaching you to and relax, let go, and actually enjoy what you're doing. Because when you're in sync with your cycle and you're doing things that time of the month that are aligned with your energy and where your the hormones and how your brain is functioning that time, you're going to enjoy it more and you're going to be more productive in what you're doing. So
Yeah.
you talk about, it's not so much how much you can get done in 24 hours, it's how much you're going to get done in 28 days or 30 days when you're in sync with your cycle. And it's like, and ladies, it's like in even if you are having issues with that aspect of your life, the more you track it, the better you'll be able to do it. This will optimize your health. If you're going to the doctor about things, you'll be able to give them the information because you're paying attention to it. And
Yeah.
it's just like, so it's not, it doesn't just affect your business or but it will affect your business. It'll affect your family. It'll affect you and it'll affect your health. And it's like in all these things together, it's like the planner leads into the reset. And there's like the reset, it's like, where are you planning rest in your year? Because it's like you are, even though it's like, it's like you take us some downtime during the month, but you're still on with your family, with your business, with your friends, if you're a caretaker, there's all these things. And you really do need a set of time that's going to help you to reset, come back, remember your why, remember why you're doing this,
Yeah,
and
remember who you are.
remember who you are. Get back to understanding who you are. Because I will tell you, one of the things about going through the dream journey that hit me the first time we did it, because there's a page in here that asks for 50 dreams,
50
50
desires. Yeah, what do you
desires.
desire as a woman?
What do you desire? And the first time I did this, Everything I desired was what I wanted for my children, or my children wanted, or what my spouse wanted, or what the dreams that they had. That all my dreams were wrapped around their dreams. And so when I looked at that, and it was kind of like a slap in the face, and I realized it was just like I was not in touch with who what I wanted, what my desires were. And it was just like, and so that to me is what the reset is going, it allows for women to not just don't let your children grow up and your children leave the house and you wonder, who am I now that I don't have my children? It's like
Yeah.
you are a full human being with or without your children.
Yep.
And it's like, and that's what we all need that time with our other women to really come away and know who you are in this world.
Yeah. I would say it's the nourishing of the nourishers, right?
Mm,
This is really the nourishing of the nourishers. I think we've nourished and we've helped so many different individuals through our business, through our education, through our service, but who's nourishing the nurturers?
mm.
And
That's
so
a good way to look at it.
this is really your opportunity to come together in an intimate small group and get nourished again. Even though Heidi and I are leading and hosting it, there is a sense that, I've got a team that's on the ground that's running the behind the scenes so that I can fully participate in the nourishment also, because it's something that I crave,
Hmm.
right? And so I'm not here to put on a productivity weekend. I'm not here to fill every waking hour of your day with some sort of activity. If that's the case, this is not for you.
We don't want a retreat that you need a vacation from.
Right. We want you to come in, reconnect with soul, body, mind, spirit, get back into the culture and the essence of the place that where you're at.
Mm,
Right. This is why we're hosting it in El Salvador. This is why we've already got Bali on the books for 2027. Like,
mm,
we are already creating the space and the containers to hold the energy for you to be nourished and for not feeling like you have to do something beyond just get on a plane, show up at the airport. Everything from that point, taking you to and from the airport and everything in between, is all taken care of for you. Like, let us take care of you, and in the same sense, let's get your cup fully replenished
hmm.
as we dive into this year. So, yes, I think it's super important that we're scheduling rest, we're scheduling resets, and you're taking these opportunities to really find these moments just to pause. All right, I think that's the
That's a
20.
wrap.
Is that a
That-
wrap? That's our
That's
that's
a
our
wrap.
100th episode.
That's our 100th episode.
So we got Heidi back on again for the 100th episode. So there we are.
Accomplished.
For all of our audience, I mean, definitely we love ratings, we love comments, we love when you share. If you want to, help us get this word out around did she really say that and the impact we're making with all these incredible women in business, follow them, connect with them. As I always say, we are a community of women helping women. So supporting each other, sharing each other's podcasts, sharing each other's businesses allow for growth and a movement that will take off faster and build faster than any other way. So, Heidi, 100 episodes.
Woo!
See,
Love
I
it.
was waiting for that. I was waiting for the woohoo from her. She was going to do
Woo-hoo.
it. All right, everyone, continue to follow along. And for all those that are listening, you know the deal. We'll see you on the next episode. And I trust you. Episode 101, it's coming on with a bang. So join us, have some fun with us, and stay tuned and stay plugged in with us here on Did She Really Say That?
She did.
There you go.